The artillery did what they did. They marked TRPs. And what do they pick for TRPs? Things that are visible on a map, and we know exactly where they were at. The TRPs for this operation was a church and a school. And no one in the room blinked. And they continued on with the briefing. When it got to the point where the chief of staff said, anything else, the captain said, can we talk about the TRPs? And if I could have been thrown out of the room, I would have been. So I pointed out that we had a good narrative. In this scenario, we were the white knight. We were coming in and using military force to save lives, to protect property, not to become one of the combatants. We were the white knight. And if our white knight operation started with blowing up a religious facility and blowing up a school, then we've lost the narrative before troops are ever on the ground. So after the chief of staff finished glaring at me, which seemed like about 3 hours, he simply said, give me some different TRPs. And the mission moved on. Now, the chief listened that day to the captain, not because I had a personal relationship, not because I personally had trust with him, because the public affairs function in that headquarters had established credibility and trust. If it had happened 15 minutes later, it would have been the public affairs sergeant major in the room, who probably had more credibility than me anyway. But he listened because we earned a place at that decision table by being professionals and being strategic communicators. The third thing I would say is protect your credibility. Technology will always change, platforms will change, the information environment will become faster. Artificial intelligence is creating new opportunities and enormous new challenges. The volume of information will continue to grow. But one thing will not change: credibility remains a currency of our profession. Our job is not simply to make organizations look good. Our job is to help organizations communicate truthfully, act consistently, and earn and maintain trust. Credibility is not something the communications team manufactures. It's something the entire organization develops. We simply help protect it. That responsibility is one of the reasons I'm so proud to be part of this profession. And it's one of the reasons today matters. The people we're about to induct into the Hall of Fame are not being honored simply because they were excellent practitioners, which they certainly were. They're being recognized for their leadership. They influenced institutions, they advised commanders and senior officials, they helped organizations understand complicated environments. They helped people make better decisions. And they demonstrated, each in their own way, the extraordinary reach of the profession taught here at DINFOS. And Jeremy Martin and Rivers Johnson, I had the privilege of seeing some of that leadership firsthand. And I've known of Chief Mari's accomplishments and influence. And again, the word badass has to slip out there. But today I'm proud to see them receive this recognition here in this hallowed institution. So let me close with a thought for the professionals in the room. Learn your instrument, master your craft, be the most exceptional writer you can be. Photographer, broadcaster, planner, spokesperson, communicator. Be your best. But don't stop there. Learn the score. Understand the mission. Listen to the entire orchestra. Earn the trust of the leaders you advise. Have the courage to tell them what they need to hear. And when the opportunity comes, be ready to step to the podium and conduct. Because that's ultimately where strategic communications becomes strategic leadership. That's why today's inductees have demonstrated in their remarkable careers, and that's why they certainly belong in the Defense Information School's Hall of Fame. Congratulations to each of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hastings, for those inspiring remarks. We will now formally recognize this year's honorees and induct them into the DINFOS Alumni Hall of Fame. Our first honoree is Vice President J.D. Vance, U.S. Marine Corps veteran. Vice President Vance was born and raised in Middleton, Ohio.
After graduating from Middleton High School in 2003, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. He trained as a combat correspondent and graduated from the Basic Public Affairs Specialist Writer course at DINFOS in June 2004. He served 4 years on active duty with 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing at Marine Corps Air Station, Cherry Point, North Carolina, including a 2005 deployment to Iraq. As a Marine Public Affairs Specialist, he wrote about Marines, documented missions, and worked with civilian media to tell the story of the Corps. Following military service, he attended Ohio State University and then earned his law degree from Yale Law School. He worked as a corporate lawyer and a venture capitalist, gained national attention as author of the best-selling memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, and was elected to the United States Senate in 2022. In 2024, President Donald Trump elected him as his running mate. Vice President Vance was sworn in on January 20th, 2025 as the 50th Vice President of the United States and the first Marine Corps veteran to hold the office. Vice President Vance is unable to attend today's ceremony in person due to scheduling constraints. We are grateful that he has provided a video acceptance remarks, which will now be played.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very sorry I can't be there in person, but I wanted to offer a note of gratitude to the good men and women of DINFOS for the honor of being inducted into your Alumni Hall of Fame. As with millions of other Americans, joining the Marines gave me a sense of discipline, of duty, and of purpose. Attending DINFOS was a huge part of that. It taught me so many of the skills that I've used throughout my life and certainly as Vice President of the United States, lessons that left a lasting impact on me personally and helped shape my career in the years that followed. Moreover, my work as a public affairs Marine offered me perspective, giving me the opportunity to report from the ground in Iraq. I walked away from that experience with an incredible appreciation for our country and most of all for the people who serve our country, and a profound reminder of what it is to be born an American, what a great blessing it is to be a United States citizen. It's a privilege to be counted among the generations of communicators who have come through DINFOS, the DINFOS trained killers, as we called ourselves, and I assume you guys still do. Our national security depends on such men and women, on our ability to communicate the resolve of our nation, to actually tell the American people what's going on overseas and at home with credibility and conviction. So thank you again for this incredible honor. Thank you for everything you do in service to our country. Semper Fidelis, and God bless everybody. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating DINFOS 2026 Hall of Fame inductee, Vice President J.D. Vance. The Defense Information School looks forward to welcoming Vice President Vance to the school in the future to present his award in person. Our next honoree is retired U.S. Colonel Jeremy Martin. Colonel Martin is Director of Global Public Affairs for Bell Textron. His 30-year Army career includes service as Commandant of the Defense Information School, Senior Military Advisor to the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs Advisor and Spokesperson for the Secretary of the Army and the Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, and Director of Public Affairs and Chief Spokesperson for the Joint Task Force at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Before joining Bell, he served in the Senior Executive Service as Chief of Staff to the Assistant to the Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs and as Pentagon Press Secretary. He also served as Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Community and Public Outreach and Acting Principal Deputy to the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs. A distinguished ROTC graduate of Grambling State University, He holds master's degrees from the U.S. Army War College and Webster University. He was inducted into the U.S. Army ROTC National Hall of Fame in 2016 and received the President's Lifetime Achievement Award for Volunteer Service in 2022. Colonel McNorton and Mr. Hastings will now formally present the honor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome DINFOS 2026 Hall of Fame inductee, Colonel Jeremy Martin. Our next honoree is retired U.S. Army Colonel. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that, sir.
You must have known that I have 90 minutes worth of remarks. Mr. Bray, Mr. Hastings, and Bob, thank you for being here today. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve under your watch. During my tenure as Commandant of DINFOS, I called Bob over a half dozen times for support. And Bob always made time for DINFOS. Whatever he was doing, he would stop, come and talk to some of our senior classes, come and lead a career day. Whatever the request, Bob always made time for DINFOS. So thank you for making time for DINFOS again today. And thank you for being such a great boss on 2 occasions. Colonel McNorton and Rich, on the eve of your retirement, thank you for that outstanding leadership of DINFOS and for war media activity. And thank you for your outstanding dedication and devotion to our nation. It's been a pleasure to know you and serve with you. Can't wait to see what the future holds for you and the McNorton family. Becky Riggle, who I'm told is watching from Seattle, from Washington State? Tacoma. Okay, Becky Riggle, who is our outstanding president of Army Public Affairs Association, couldn't be here with us today, but Becky, we're thinking about you, and I'm glad that you're listening in. Former DINFOS commandants, I saw High Bell here, and DINFOS Hall of Famers that are here, DINFOS alumni and staff. And to my Bell Textron colleagues watching via live stream from here in the States and around the world. My wonderful family in attendance today, my sister Pauline, retired, extraordinary educator, her husband James, also a retired educator and a United States Army veteran, retired from the United States Army National Guard. My brother Nate, an Air Force veteran who cut short a trip to Martha's Vineyard so he could be here with us today. That's dedication. My niece, Commander Lucy Martin Braswell, commander in the United States Public Health Corps, and her husband, Paul, who's on the staff at Georgetown University. Thank you for coming. My great niece, Calicia, is here. Hi, Calicia. Thank you for being here. Yeah. My son, Nick, Frostburg State University graduate. My daughter, Rachel, University of Maryland graduate. And the former First Lady of DINFOS, 2011, 2015. Come on, give it up for Ava Martin. To my wonderful siblings, I'm number 9 out of 11. To my wonderful siblings and other family and friends who are watching via live stream, including my Aunt Mabel, who is 96 years young. And Aunt Mabel is watching this morning from Chicago via live stream. So hello, Aunt Mabel, and hello to my sister Mona, who is ill and wasn't able to make it, but she called this morning, and at 7 o'clock this morning, she sung the Army song to me. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. I am truly humbled and immensely grateful to stand here on this revered stage, looking out at this room of exceptional communicators. To be inducted into the Hall of Fame alongside 3 stalwart leaders with absolutely impeccable credentials. Colonel Rivers Johnson, a personal friend and mentor, extraordinary PA professional who I've known and respected for 25 years. Chip Mowry, who I've come to know and greatly admire through his outstanding body of groundbreaking work. A true pioneer in his career field and a living legend. Chip, I am honored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame with you and Rivers today. Like many of us here today, my journey started with the brutal reality of the DINFOS deadline. We all remember the pressure of the Strength Through Truth mission, learning how to look at chaos and somehow extract clarity. Whether we were dealing with public affairs crises, planning press conferences for senior leaders at the Pentagon, conducting media operations in combat theaters, or capturing history through a lens. DINFOS taught us that our work isn't just about media. It is a critical pillar of national security. And I want to thank the instructors who tore apart my early drafts and pushed me to be more precise. We must continue to teach the current and future generations that credibility takes a lifetime to build, but only a second to lose. It must be said that no one reaches this milestone alone. I was blessed to serve with and learn from strong, capable, dedicated leaders, many of whom are here today. Mike Gannon, Provost Excellence. Jimmy Bell, my Chief of Staff. Command Sergeant Major Emma Krauser, who did her best to keep me in line during my 40 months tenure of Commandant of DINFOS. Jim Gilbert, Ron Rayhorn, Bruce Colquitt, Keith Oliver, Mike Griffith, Charles Brown, who ran our international program, Peter Cook. In my introduction, it said that it may have seemed as if I was the Pentagon press secretary. I wasn't. I served as Chief of Staff for the Pentagon press secretary, who was Peter Cook. And Peter Cook was a great boss. He's currently the Chief Communications Officer, Senior Vice President for the American Bankers Association, and he couldn't be here today. Charles Duke Smith, Captain, United States Navy, retired. Major General Jay Hood, our commander at JTF Gitmo. Leadership under fire, and a leader who epitomized strength through truth. Major General Jeff Schlosser, a superb and principled leader, mentor, and a friend who helped me as I made the transition from government to industry. And there are many others. This plaque belongs to every public affairs specialist, combat correspondent, and visual information professional I had the pleasure to serve with, especially in my early days as a DINFOS-trained killer, conducting media operations in Bosnia, Kuwait, Iraq, and Afghanistan, often in support of the Undersecretary and the Secretary of the Army, the late Honorable Les Brownlee, with whom I was privileged to travel the world. And God bless Gary Sheftick, an outstanding writer and professional who liberally, and I mean very liberally, edited many of my early stories from theater, making it almost And the operative word is almost, seem as if I knew what I was doing. Most importantly, I must thank my family. Military life demands a unique kind of sacrifice from those on the home front. Thank you for enduring the many trips into theater, missed birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas, and Thanksgiving holidays, and the constant relocations. There were 16. Your unwavering support was the anchor that allowed me to do this vital work on behalf of the American people. You know, former Secretary of the Army Brownlee was more than just an outstanding soldier and statesman. He was a dear friend. Well into his retirement years, Secretary Brownlee personally drove to Carlisle, Pennsylvania to promote me to colonel. He drove to Fort Meade, and in this very room, he officiated my retirement ceremony from active duty. Now, he once remarked to me during a personal moment while we were traveling in the Middle East, and he had that West Texas accent that he never lost. Jeremy, you're blessed. Ava is a great Army wife. Secretary Brownlee was right. And honey, I share this honor with you today. My beloved mother and father, James and Helen Martin, get to share in today's festivities as well. I have it on good authority that today's feed is being live streamed in heaven. As I close, the mission of military communication is more challenging than ever before. But as I look at the future generation of leaders coming out of this eclectic institution, I know that truth is in good hands. Thank you to the selection committee for honoring my family and I today. Many thanks to the excellent work by Sandra Linyard and the DINFOS staff. I will carry this recognition with pride and continue to champion the vital mission of this elite school. The DINFOS motto should be inextricably linked, Mr. Bray, with that of the Department of War. Peace through strength and strength through truth. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next honoree is retired U.S. Army Colonel Rivers Johnson, Jr. Colonel Johnson completed 44 years of distinguished federal service, including more than 10 years as Chief of the International Military Student Office at DINFOS. He served as the school's primary representative for the International Military Student Program and for security assistance and security cooperation efforts. He managed and supported hundreds of international military and civilian students from partner nations, coordinating administrative, academic, and cultural requirements and strengthening enduring relationships through shared learning and cooperation. He previously served more than 30 years in the U.S. Army, primarily as public affairs officer in tactical, operational, and strategic assignments. His career included leadership positions at U.S. Cyber Command, Army Community Relations at the Pentagon, the Office of the Secretary of Defense, the White House, of National Drug Control Policy and multiple joint and deployed public affairs organizations. A University of South Alabama ROTC graduate, he holds master's degrees in public administration and strategic studies. Mr. Hastings and Colonel McNorton will now formally present the honor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome DINFOS 2026 Hall of Fame inductee, Colonel Rivers J. Johnson.
Colonel Martin, is definitely a hard act to follow. I will do my best. Imagine, in May of 1991, a young infantry captain, just having completed company command at Fort Benning, Georgia, he reports to Fort Ben Harrison, Indiana, to attend the Public Affairs Officers Course, PAOC 4 TAC or Dash 91. Never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that that single course, PAOC, would change his career glide path and essentially his life. That single course would allow him to work at the highest echelons of our government and across all branches of the armed forces. That young officer is standing humbly before you now. Mr. Bray, Mr. Hastings, Commandant, good morning. Distinguished guests also, leaders, colleagues, friends, and members of the Defense Information School, as well as former Hall of Fame inductees and current inductees. I am definitely in good shape with the current class of 2026. It is indeed a tremendous honor to be inducted into the class of 2026 Defense Information School's Hall of Fame. I am deeply humbled to have my name associated with the outstanding communicators, educators, leaders, and public affairs and audiovisual professionals who have come through this institution and who have made significant contributions in the career field. I accept this honor not in recognition of what I have accomplished alone, but a reflection of the many people who shaped and contributed to my career. I did not get here by myself, and no one does. I was fortunate to learn from great leaders and mentors like Major General retired Mary Kay Eder, Colonel retired Larry Eisnagel, who was also my commandant here at the Defense Information School, and the late Miss Adrienne Combs, who we affectionately call the godmother of public affairs, and General Brooks, retired general, former chief of Army Public Affairs, who was my old boss at the Pentagon, who believed in me and brought me on board as his executive officer. I was fortunate to serve alongside talented teammates like, again, Mr. Hastings. And believe it or not, I stole a lot of your teaching techniques if you don't remember that. And shipmates like Master Chief retired Mel Witherspoon. And you can ask her later, but she literally kept me from having to make a trip to human resources. Thank you for, and she'll tell you that story later on. And Ms. Karen Marks, who assisted me with learning the financial side of dealing with international officers and not getting in trouble. I was fortunate to work with professionals who understood the importance of telling the military story with accuracy, integrity, and purpose. To my colleagues, mentors, friends, and especially my family, thank you for your support for making this journey possible. To my late wife, Michelle, I think many of you probably met her, who took care of the home front while I was off being the best communicator I could be. I am here because of your support. To my children, Crystal, her husband Rob, Rivers III, the Marine Corps veteran, and his wife Crystal, I thank you for your support. I am here because of you. To those who I've helped mentored, like Colonel Isaac Taylor and Sergeant Hubert Delaney, currently serving as a member of the Connecticut House of Representatives, I am here because of you. I'm here because of people like Sergeant Major retired Don Sparks, who shared his public affairs and combat experiences with this old guy. I am here because of people like Sherry Lawrence, who I could proudly say is one of the few butt-chewings I've ever got in my life from a civilian. And she'll tell you about that later on if she remembers. I stand on the shoulders of many of you who are in this very room and online. Many of you in this room have had a part in my professional development. Many of you in this room and online have strengthened the very fabric I wore every day as a professional communicator, leader, and service member. I thank you for that. Every day when I came to work, whether it was in a military uniform for 30 years or as a Department of War civilian for almost 11 years, whether it was for the White House, the Pentagon, or on the NSA campus, I did my best to serve the nation with honor, to serve this career field with honor, to always be value-added and passionate about the craft of public affairs. Having a son deployed to Afghanistan, I knew the importance of keeping all informed about what our military was doing. I was always on the lookout for news from his unit. With that, I understood firsthand that the moms, the dads, the wives, the husbands, the brothers, the sisters, the aunts and uncles, all depended on us to keep them informed. A professional communicator, or as professional communicators, our mission was also about giving commanders and our stakeholders, especially the American public, the information they needed to understand what our military does and why it matters. I am forever indebted to the Defense Information School and to the Public Affairs career field for the opportunities it has given me, both personally and professional, and for the contributions it has allowed me to make as a professional communicator and especially as a leader, in telling the great stories and adventures of our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and Guardians. I am a proud part of the DINFOS family, and I am profoundly grateful for this recognition. I am most thankful for the grace provided by those who continue to serve in this wonderful yet difficult and contested battle space. Thank you for your extraordinary honor, strength through truth, and airborne all the way.
Our final honoree is retired U.S. Navy Chief Photographer's Mate Donald Chip Morey. Chief Morey is a Navy chief, combat photographer, photojournalism leader, and educator whose career has spanned more than 6 decades. He began his photography career in 1956 as a Navy photographer's mate, developing expertise in underwater photography, diving operations, and airborne imaging. He served with Underwater Demolition Team 11 and SEAL Team 1 and completed 3 combat tours in Vietnam as a diver. Underwater photographer and naval parachutist. During his naval career, he logged more than 1,500 parachute jumps. Before retiring from active duty in 1975 as Chief Petty Officer, Chief Morey served as a photo chief for Pacific Stars and Stripes in Tokyo, Japan. He later worked as a staff photographer for the Associated Press and served as Director of Photography at the Providence Journal and the Indianapolis Star. He taught military photojournalism at Syracuse University for more than 30 years and served for more than 13 years on the National Press Photographers Association liaison to the Department of Defense. Chief Morey continues to mentor photographers, journalists, and military storytellers. Mr. Hastings and Colonel McNorton will now formally present the honor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome DINFOS 2026 Hall of Fame inductee, Chief Photographer's Mate, Donald Chip Morey, U.S. Navy, retired.
How many of our guys are here, and then see if you can hold out the ducks.
Want some ducks? Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
Your mic's on, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you.
You all?
Hearing, oops, I'm too loud. My voice has a way of going away. When I hear all these clicks, it reminds me when Judy and I got married. It was up in the Adirondack Mountains and out in the woods, and there are a few photographers there of note. Eddie Adams was there, John Philo, and tripods, long lenses and stuff. And Judy's mom walks into the house, and Sandy Colton's wife says, Judy says, why there's a lot of photographers, famous photographers. And Colton's wife turns around and says, yeah, and you'll never see any of the pictures either. Thank you, Colonel and the staff. I never expected anything like this in my life. I never thought about being recognized for doing something that was not only fun, but so soul satisfying for me. To my fledgling idiots who are scattered around here, it's my sons and my daughters. I thank you. I mean, without you, I wouldn't have any reason for being here either. You have no idea how much my buddy Ken Hackman and I enjoyed watching you mature over the years. And you have now become the elder statesmen of our community. The only thing that could make this gathering more complete would be if our godfather, Ken Hackman, were here in person. But fear not, Ken's spirit and love lives within us all, and his life-changing impact on you will continue as you pass his teachings on to future generations. I have to remember that my presentation is geared to, I can't match you two guys. You're two. You're smooth as a gravy sandwich, buddy, I'll tell you. I'm sharing with you some of the tools that I've used through the years to get the younger people pumped up to continue on, give them a reason for doing what they're doing. So it's the same language, different accents, right? 70 years ago, I became a teenage sailor. With my Kodak Brownie experience, I thought a photomate would be a good choice. My first duty station was on a large aircraft carrier, and I discovered there that I had the King Midas touch in reverse. And the chief told the leading petty officer, Jim Kirby, to square me away. And Kirby became my sea daddy, and his leadership style was firm and fair, and it was fun. I found that I would rise up to meet his expectations. And when I fouled something up, I don't know if you remember film. Do you remember how they used to do pictures to put on your cards? Huh? 35 millimeter, and you shoot, and you shoot, and you shoot. Well, I had 50 feet of 35 millimeter film, and I would go over to the developer, and I was supposed to spaghetti this film, no reels, just in there, and then put it into the hypo, and then put it into the water. At the end of what I thought was a developer, I come over to the hypo, and it's not there. I processed all this film in a fixer and lost everything. The next day, I was mess cooking for 3 months. But with Jim Curry, if I fouled things up, it was never another chance. It was another opportunity. Years later, I had an opportunity to thank him for my success. He turned serious and he said, now, I charge you with the obligation to pass it along as freely as you got it. He said, you don't have a choice. This is an obligation. And without him being woven into the fabric of my life, I can't imagine who or where I would be today. Wouldn't be here. When mentoring, I try to emulate the Kirby approach. Often I find myself wishing I could go back in time to thank the team that built this schoolhouse. Think about it. From a cluster of trailers in a muddy field to this palace of learning we stand in today. This is where women and men, military and civilian, come together. Come on screen. You can tell I just finished this up this morning. Come together to learn the craft of communication. And somewhere along the way, we learn to speak a common language, even if it does have different accents. More importantly, relationships are formed here, relationships that cross services and specialties, ranks, generations, and they often last a lifetime. In today's world of instant communication, those inter-service teams born here often meet again, downrange and in the field. And that's where the relationships really matter. And no longer do we have to wait weeks for a letter to get from the States to see you overseas. Now it's a simple call. Hey, I'm headed your way. What can I expect? Do you need anything? I remember hearing of a conversation between a soldier and a sailor during an operation over in the sandbox. So, a tank ran over your telephoto lens. Don't worry. We have an extra we can loan to you. That's our community. The inter-services come together as brothers and sisters, and we help one another out. In one photo I have on my wall, I see 4 souls in full battle rattle, crammed in this little tiny tent with a single chem light up there for illumination in the middle of a sandstorm. And that caption reads, wish you were here too. If you've been there, you understand what I'm saying. There are many tight-knit communities throughout our armed forces, special operations forces, search and rescue, pilots, divers, submariners. But we have something really special here. This schoolhouse has become a trunk of a tree of learning. And from this trunk grew branches. Programs like Syracuse University expose us to the highest standards of professional storytelling outside the military. Those programs changed us. They changed us to write better, to see better, to tell stories better, and to produce work strong enough to compete and win against the civilians. Not long ago, another branch of that tree was a DOD DINFOS photojournalism workshop. It was a 1-week high-intensity experience that traveled from Anchorage to Los Angeles, San Diego, New Orleans, Charleston, and right back here to Fort Meade. We brought in world-class civilian editors, photographers, and storytellers and paired them with some of the very best military professionals. Together, they mentored the next generation. Students learned from these great mentors. Standards were raised, relationships were built, and careers were changed. It was really something special. And it's too bad the workshop faded. Fortunately, and where's my son? Can I have some water, kid? Water? My throat's going. My voice is going, huh? I'm going. Notice this necktie? Fortunately, one of the branches of that finishing school is still very much alive. Thank you. I haven't had my life. Today we have 2 annual DC shoot-off workshops led by retired Navy Chief Petty Officer Johnny Rivera, who's also He was inducted a couple years ago, I guess. One focus on video, one workshop focuses on video storytelling, and the other is still visual journalism. They are high-speed, little sleep, intensely focused workshops, 2 or 3 days, designed to push the students beyond what they thought they could do. Last year, we operated out of the Navy League in Arlington. Our next workshop is September the 17th through the 20th. It's for video. If you're a prospective student, or perhaps more importantly, a prospective mentor, I encourage you, and I'm talking to the students, to look at, you don't want to look into it at photoshoot.org. I also want my deepest thanks to the National Association of Navy Photography for providing umbrella nonprofit support to us, and to our Navy shoot-off Navy godfathers, Admiral Kelsey, where are you? Oh, there he is. We were in a Navy League building, and everybody's out shooting pictures, and he walks in, in his work in a garden clothes, and he looks lost, and he walks past me and he starts talking to somebody. And I said, I got curious, and I walked over and standing next to him, somebody's calling him an admiral. I thought that this guy's an admiral. And he's asking, where's Johnny Rivera? And I said, he's out there somewhere. And I said, come on, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. And we went in the back room, had some coffee. We talked for the longest time. Yeah, it was really great. I asked if he would come and give me some support today. He comes up from... oh, yeah, I'd be here. Yeah. And the U.S. Navy Public Affairs Association for their noble and continued support. Now, at all my workshop presentations wrap up with one question. Hang on, it's in here somewhere. One question. What makes your ducky quack? Come on, it usually gets a laugh, but it never had applause. But I'm serious. What do you do that keeps you grounded and brings you joy? What helps you maintain a balance? Because life is multifaceted. We have our profession, our families, our friendships, and our responsibilities. And somewhere in all of that, we have to remember to live. So I hand out rubber ducks. I always try to buy rubber ducks that will reflect the time and the season of our workshop. So this time, I'm sorry I don't have enough ducks to go out, but this time I have $250 anniversary ducks. If there's not enough, we have a bucket back here of all service ducks. And her first name is what? The duck. You have a Navy duck. So what I want you to do is please take one and put it next to your computer or on your desk or somewhere where you'll see the duck watching you. And when life starts to get a little bit out of balance, let that ridiculous little duck remind you to fight for it. Fight for your family, fight for your friendships, the things that make your ducky quack, and fight for that all-important balance. But there's one thing I hope you'll fight for the most, is the next generation. I encourage every one of you, talking to students, to become a mentor. Each one, teach one. Somebody taught you, somebody opened a door for you, someone took time to look at your work, correct you, challenge you, encourage you, or simply say, you can do better. Now it's your turn, class. Don't worry, I'm not going to call on you. There's an old saying, to the world, you may be just one person, but to one person, you may be the world. And if I leave you with nothing more or nothing else today, I hope you remember this. Everything you have learned here, every skill someone taught you, every opportunity someone gave you, every lesson a mentor took the time to pass along, and you have the obligation to pass it along as freely as it was given to you. This is how the profession survives, and this is how our community grows. And that's how we honor the people who came before us. And it's not simply a choice, it's an obligation. I told Jim, yeah. I want to thank you very much for this honor. It's a time with you, and I want to thank all my fledglings. If it wasn't for you guys and gals, my life would have been so boring. But to get together again allows us to reestablish relationships, and to also bring up the people, the students, and the next time they'll be the mentors. So thank you very much.
Congratulations again to all of our honorees. Let us have another round of applause for the Defense Information School Alumni Hall of Fame Class 2026. At this time, we ask the 2026 honorees to come forward for a group photo in front of the flags.